The date is March 23rd. There are 23 days left until Old School RuneScape's 6th League, Demonic Pacts, comes out, and Jagex has finally blessed us with our first big blog and the start of daily reveals. I could not be more excited. This is always one of my favorite parts about any league: theory crafting, learning about relics and combat masteries for the first time, having your entire plan completely turned upside down because of some curveball reveal. It's so much fun and I want to talk about it. Today, Jagex released a huge blog which will be the hub for all of the up-to-date info on the league and all of the daily reveals. There's info about what the different regions are and what they offer, basic info about what quests will be auto-completed and what items you're given at the start of the league, and quite a few little puzzles and other hidden things that I know will be revealed to us at the proper time. If you've played a league before, most of this is probably pretty familiar to you. If this is your first time, or maybe you want to check out a region that you've never played in before, I highly recommend reading the blog for all of that detailed info. However, there are one or two things that I thought were worth pointing out as they are new information. Firstly, we are officially starting in Varlamore. Some people way smarter than me had already figured this out thanks to some riddles that the JMods were leaving, but it is nice to see it officially stated. Along with this, there is some useful information on how we are going to train certain skills that don't officially have a level 1 training method in Varlamore. The two in particular are Agility and Hunter. Now, apparently you are going to be able to train Agility from level 1 within Yama's Lair. Yama's Lair is going to serve as this opening ground for the league. It's where you're going to initially spawn into, and it contains things such as the Sage, which is useful if you ever need to reclaim items. Along with Agility, one of my chief questions was how we are going to be able to train Hunter if we're starting in Varlamore. If you weren't aware, Hunter as a skill actually doesn't have that many things you can do at level 1, and the only one that exists within the boundaries of Varlamore are Crimson Swifts. However, Crimson Swifts require bird snares in order to trap. And while there is a shop in Varlamore that stocks bird snares, it is in the Hunters Guild, which, wouldn't you know it, has a level 46 hunter requirement in order to access. However, Jagex has cleared this up for us, and they've stated that bird snares have been added to the Fortis General Store. So you're going to be able to buy these right off the bat and start training Hunter at level 1. This is really good info for a Varlamore start because, as you know, Varlamore is quite heavily hunter leaning, with the Hunters Guild being there and rumors being a big part of both task lists and training methods. Now, finally, we have to talk about the big reveal for day 1, which is, of course, the 3 starting relic choices. This is always how Jagex likes to open up their league reveals, and this year's choices did not disappoint, so let's talk through them. Jagex has gifted us with this beautiful board that shows the layout of all of the relics upcoming, and it will get filled out as those relics get revealed to us. So in tier 1, we are given 3 different starting options: Endless Harvest, Barbarian Gathering, and Abundance. The first of these, Endless Harvest, you can endlessly gather from fishing spots, trees, and mining rocks, even if they deplete after your initial interaction. Resources gathered from fishing, woodcutting, and mining are multiplied by 2, and XP is granted for all additional resources gathered. There is also a handy-dandy little toggle that allows you to choose if you want your resources gathered to automatically be sent to the bank or appear in your inventory like usual. This relic is very good. Gathering continuing even after a resource depletes. This is huge. Fishing spots moving around? Nah, just stay put. Trees getting cut down? Nah, you just keep chopping. Mining? You click a rock once and you just keep mining it. Click that runite rock once and you keep mining it over and over, even if it depletes, until you move away or get logged out because you went AFK for too long. This is absolutely the best pick if you are an AFK leaguer. I would even argue it's pretty good for active play styles. Even if you aren't going to be really AFK, I'm sure most of us are going to expect a lot of time like this. Most people probably won't be glued to their PCs and phones the entire time you're playing the league, and having the option for something that's AFK and efficient is a real benefit. Getting double resources from all skilling nodes is going to be really useful for gathering up materials to train your processing skills. And the fact that XP is doubled for all of these resources just means that your gathering skills are going to go up that much quicker. And as we know from all previous leagues, gathering skills can be a pain to train, even with boosted experience rates and relics. They can still take quite a lot of time to get to max level. There is definitely a lot to be said about the fact that nodes don't deplete after an initial interaction. You might not think about it right off the bat, but this drastically reduces the amount of time that you spend in between skilling actions, whether that's moving between skilling nodes or banking. All of that time in the long run is really going to add up to be some pretty crazy XP rates. So all in all, I think Endless Harvest is a fantastic pick for a first relic. However, when talking about gathering skills, we have to bring up relic number 2. That, of course, being Barbarian Gathering. Yes, that's right. Jagex has given us 2 different options for boosting one's gathering skills. And the second one is a really tough pick when compared with Endless Harvest. Upon choosing this relic, you will receive the Knapsack, a completely new and unique item for this league. The effects of Barbarian Gathering are that you become capable of chopping wood, mining rocks, and fishing with your bare hands without requiring any tools or bait. Which, as a slight aside, the animations for this look phenomenal. Not only do you not require any tools, your bare hands are equivalent to the crystal version of the respective tool that you were using. This means if you're mining, your hands are equivalent to a crystal pickaxe, if you're chopping wood, a crystal axe, and if you're fishing, a crystal harpoon. Whenever you gain fishing, woodcutting, or mining XP while gathering, you will also receive an additional 10% XP in both strength and agility. And now on to the knapsack. Up to 3 different types of gathered items, wood, fish, or ore, can be placed into the knapsack, which has a total maximum capacity of 140. So think of the knapsack as a log basket or a coal bag, with the added ability that you get to mix and match what you want to put into it. Then finally, the last point down here, on failing to mine a rock, catch a fish, or chop a tree, you will receive a separate 50% chance to succeed instead. Now, we really need to talk about this point for a second because there is some confusion about how this is going to work. So as an example, let's talk about the success of catching a shark at level 76 fishing. You might read this relic and think, okay, I have a 50% chance to succeed if I fail. So that means there's a 16% chance for me to catch a shark at level 76. And if I fail that, then I'll have a 50% chance of that to catch the shark, which is like 8.4%. So overall, you're looking at somewhere around a 25% chance to catch a shark. Not super exciting, but that's not how most people are interpreting how this relic works. Because in Raging Echoes, the first starter relics that we had similar wording to this. And the way that those tools worked was more like this. You have a 16.8% chance to catch a shark. If you fail that, you basically flip a coin and there's a 50-50 chance that you succeed. So with that line of math, you can think of this as more of a 16.8% chance plus a 50% chance. My math is very basic here, but that is the idea that I'm trying to present. Instead of a 25% chance to catch the shark at this level, you have more like a 66% chance to catch the shark. A huge difference, especially at these early levels. What this essentially means is that this relic will give you a drastically increased chance to succeed at fishing, woodcutting, and mining skilling activities. Which, of course, if you dig into it, more successes at these activities means more XP per hour. And this is why people are talking so much about Barbarian Gathering versus Endless Harvest. Which one is going to be better XP per hour? Which one is going to be better for training your skills if you are looking at maxing a league account? Based on some of the math that I've seen, it seems like both of these have their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to this, and part of this is of course region specific. Take mining for example. Mining amethyst with Barbarian Gathering is probably going to be one of the best mining methods in the entire league, and should outperform anything that Endless Harvest has to offer. However, if you don't take Asgarnia as a region, you don't have access to that method, maybe Endless Harvest is going to be better for mining. Talking about this relic specifically, Crystal Tool level skilling is really good. Not only do you act like you're using the best tool available, sometimes there are special interactions with these tools. If you're in Temperos, for example, there's a chance to crystallize fish that you're catching, which provides more damage to Temperos. And traditionally speaking, acquiring a crystal tool yourself, even during a league, can be quite time consuming. So the fact that you're given the best available tool right from level 1 means that you're going to have a very, very good time succeeding at gathering skill activities. We also can't discount the fact that you're getting free strength and agility XP. Now, of course, strength might not be that exciting because you're like, I'm going to do combat anyways, but the fact that you can gain it passively, especially at the start of a league when maybe you're focusing on gathering skills more, getting a little bit of passive melee combat XP means you have more time to focus on attack and defense. And of course, the big one here, agility. So many people hate training agility, especially in something like a limited time mode. So the fact that you have a passive way to gain that XP, you can probably max your agility skill just by doing gathering skilling activities and never even touch a traditional agility training method. Looking at the knapsack as an item means that Barbarian Gathering is still probably going to be very good from a chill playstyle perspective, since it gives you an extra 140 item slots to store your gathered materials. That means a lot of extra time spent skilling rather than running back and forth between the bank. Also, as I said before, if you just care about XP and you don't care about the resources at all, it looks like it's going to give you some great flexibility when it comes to power skilling by filling up the knapsack and then disposing of everything inside of it. So who's really the winner between these first two relics from a gathering skill perspective? I really don't know. I think you're going to see big fans of both of these relics. Both of them definitely have their strengths. When it comes to Endless Harvest, I can see you camping gem rocks for a long time, meaning you're gaining passive crafting XP through all the gems that you're getting. Barbarian Gathering has the great utility that fishing doesn't require bait anymore. So that means you're river fishing, you don't have to buy feathers. If you take Kurend and you want to catch anglerfish, you don't have to worry about worms. You don't have to catch your Karamwanji if you want to fish Karamwan. Solving the gathering skills, I think, is going to be taken care of completely, no matter which of these two relics you select. But of course, you're wondering, what about the third relic? And you are absolutely right. We need to talk about Abundance. Another completely new relic this league that is borrowing certain aspects from previous leagues' relics. With Abundance, all non-combat skills are permanently boosted by 10 levels. Every time you receive an XP drop, you gain an additional 2 XP in the same skill. And this is affected by the league passive XP modifier. Likewise, for every XP gained, you gain 2 times that XP in raw GP. This can either be sent to your bank or inventory if there's room. And again, there's a handy little toggle on this relic that allows you to turn on whether GP is sent to your inventory or to your bank. Jagex has thrown us a complete wild card within this first tier. Instead of powering up your gathering skills, it attempts to augment all of your non-combat skills, provide an equilibrium style passive XP gain to all skills, and give you some passive GP. Now, I see a lot of people immediately writing this relic off as just straight up worse than the other two, but I think it's definitely worth considering, especially depending on the type of league that you want to play. Having taken relics in the past that do boost all of your skills by a number of levels, I can tell you it's very, very nice if you want to make a piece of Zenite jewelry. You don't have to gain 10 of those late level crafting levels. You can kill Slayer creatures a lot earlier on. And let's not forget that a lot of tasks within a league will require certain levels. So the fact that you will be able to do a lot of those tasks 10 entire levels earlier means that you will be able to gain points that much faster, which can progress you along the league faster than maybe some of the gathering relics would. This second point within this relic is very interesting to look at. You gain 2 additional XP for every XP drop that you get in a skill. Again, this is very similar to the Equilibrium relic that they've had in leagues past, which kind of promotes activities that gain small amounts of XP, but very, very quickly. I've seen some people talk about the math regarding this, and some numbers are being thrown around that this might add an extra 5 to 10% XP per hour in a given skill that you're training, which doesn't seem like much, especially compared to the other 2 tier 1 relics. But I am curious if we will be going back to this effect for this relic later on down the line when we have more reveals. I think it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that they release a relic that buffs XP rates. In the original Twisted League, they had a relic that doubled all XP rate, which was Xeric's Wisdom. Now, of course, since that league, they have opted to make XP multipliers passive effects that everybody gains at specific relic tiers, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities for them to release a relic that directly buffs XP rates if you take it. Likewise, it is possible that they release relics that increase how frequently you gain XP drops. I don't know exactly what a relic like that would look like in practice, but these are just a few ideas that I've been throwing around that might make you look back at this point and say, oh, that actually does have some pretty powerful mid to late game uses. Finally, when it comes to this relic, I want to talk about the GP that it generates. Now, passive GP is always a pretty nice thing, especially in the early game, which, let's be fair, these relics are really targeting. Every time you gain XP, you gain twice as many coins. Now, when you see that, probably the biggest question that comes to mind is, okay, is this going to be a golden god level of GP producer? Is this going to produce so much GP that it unlocks methods of training skills that are just completely unheard of before, in the same way that Golden God did for us last league? I'm not really sure that it is. Obviously, we are still very, very early in the reveals. It is possible that something comes out that makes XP go completely through the roof, such that you can expect such large XP drops that you'll be raking in millions of coins. In comparing what we had last league, with my full melee setup and a scythe and crystal armor and the crystal blessing, I was getting 5 to 8k XP drops every time I attacked. So doing some really quick, stupid math here, if you're attacking every 1.2 seconds, 2 game ticks. If you're constantly attacking a target, you're getting 50 attacks per minute, 3,000 attacks per hour, and if you average that XP drop out to 6.5k, that's about 19.5 million XP per hour. And since you gain twice that in coins, you're looking at what, 39 million GP per hour. Of course, I'm using combat as an example here because, at least from my memory, I remember those being some of the bigger XP drops that you can see in the game. And of course, this is comparing it to a maxed out setup from the previous league, which obviously you won't have right at the beginning, or maybe anywhere near the beginning of the league. Now, overall, 40 million raw GP per hour is really nice, but not Golden God levels of obtaining cash, where you could just churn out max cash stacks without too much effort at all. So is Abundance going to be that relic that gives you the GP that you need in order to get crazy fast construction XP? I don't think that it is. I think it's definitely a relic to keep an eye on and maybe not write off entirely. As of day 1, I personally think that Endless Harvest and Barbarian Gathering are a bit stronger, but I think there are a few things that we need to consider when talking about tier 1 relics. Starter relics are generally lower in power level than late or even mid-game relics, and I think if you are looking at the starter relics and trying to let it dictate your entire league, I personally think that you're doing it wrong. I think at this point in the reveal process, it's very easy to get in the mindset of trying to figure out which of the starter relics is going to be the absolute best. And then you settle on that decision, and then later on down the line, another reveal comes up that makes you go, wait, I really want that, but it makes the starter relic that I had my heart set on not as impactful. Or this new relic would synergize better with a different starter than the one that I was looking at. And then you panic and you don't know what to do. I think a much better approach would be to wait until more reveals come out. And then when you see that one relic that you absolutely have to take, or maybe there's that one region that has an echo boss that you really want the reward from, then you can go back to the starter relics and go, okay, based off of my bigger plan with the league, which of these starter relics is going to fit into that idea? Which of these is going to benefit me the best over my league? And that brings me into one of the final points that I want to make, which is throughout this theory crafting process, don't be afraid to change your plan. When the Raging Echoes reveals were coming out, I was adamant that I was not going to pick Tehranwyn as a region. I wasn't interested in any of the content there. I had my heart set on other regions, and then information about the Echo Bosses came out, and I really wanted that Crystal Blessing and full Crystal Armor to use with a melee focused setup. It completely turned my entire plan upside down, but I went with it and I had a great time. I think it's very important to just have fun with this theory crafting process. Jagex is going to reveal things that throw curveballs at us, turn our plans upside down, but that's kind of the fun of the process, right? And likewise, it's important to realize that every single player is different, and if there's something that you want to do in the league, and everybody is saying that's not efficient or that's not the best way to do it, this is a game after all, and the league is supposed to be fun. So for me personally, I am not too heart set on any tier 1 relic. I am definitely leaning towards Barbarian Gathering with Endless Harvest very, very closely behind it. I think which of those two I end up picking is really going to depend on a few other factors, such as which regions I lock in and what some of the later game relics are. And boy, oh boy, am I so excited to find out more info on that. So hopefully you all enjoyed this dive into the day 1 reveals. I cannot wait to see what is in store for tomorrow. If you have any questions or opinions or thoughts about today's reveals and you want to theory craft with me, please, please, please leave a comment down below in this video. I absolutely love talking about theory crafting with anybody. So if you're one of those types of people and you want to theory craft with somebody, I will be that person for you. And likewise, please let me know in the comments which of these tier 1 relics you personally are leaning towards. One of the best things about theory crafting with other people is getting different perspectives, different mindsets. Somebody else probably has thought of something that you haven't in relation to a relic. And that just helps all of us solidify our plans and go into the league with a lot more confidence in our choices. So let's just sit back and enjoy this process. We have about 3 weeks of daily reveals left to go before the league starts. There is a lot of info yet to be had, and I am so excited to hear about it. Thank you all for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and maybe consider clicking that subscribe button on this channel so that you can follow along with these daily updates. That's all for this one, and I will catch you all tomorrow.